Jesus, along with his mother and some of his disciples, is attending a wedding in Cana. It is the third day. And that's significant for a couple of reasons. In the first century, a typical wedding lasted for 7 days, a time of feasting and celebration, where wine was a sign of God's abundance, of joy, gladness, hospitality. So running out was not just embarrassing, it was a disaster. The wedding marked a new beginning for this couple, and to run short on wine was to run short on blessing. The wine is run out before the wedding, and this is a catastrophe. Except Jesus' mother knows what is going on and wants Jesus to do something to fix it. And here again, time becomes an issue. There may be no wine, but Jesus responds to his mother, distancing himself from her and from the situation. "Woman, what concern is that to you and to me? My hour has not yet come." The timing of things is not always what we think it will be or should be, apparently even for Jesus. Because Mary still believes Jesus can and should do something to spare this couple their humiliation, she says to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you," and ready or not, this is where Jesus' ministry begins. 6 jars stood empty, waiting to be filled. The old vessels of the Jewish purification rites for ritual hand washing and cleansing. "Fill those jars with water," Jesus told the servants, and somewhere between the filling and the serving, in a moment that was not even when Jesus thought it would be, where there had been no wine, now there was wine, the very best, and more than enough. A miracle of abundance and grace, a new thing in an old vessel, when none of the timing made sense to anyone. This holiday weekend, I am mindful of how Mary's ability to see that the timing was right for Jesus to act, even when Jesus may not have been so sure, resembles what happened with Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King Jr. on an ordinary day in Montgomery. By refusing to give up her seat on the bus or give in to one more instance of humiliation for her people, Parks provoked a moment in history, and she provoked King's entry into that moment. In their joint action, his ministry to the nation and the world was opened. She declared that the moment is at hand, and though King was not at first sure that this was in fact the right time, he somewhat reluctantly responded to her situation. Leading the Montgomery bus boycott became the first of King's unforgettable signs, a moment of memorable light in a ministry in which he lived as John's gospel says Jesus did, offering powerful signs in very ordinary human situations. And the old vessel that was this nation was filled with a new dream. My annual life assessment has been particularly interesting this year. It is the first of those milestone birthdays since my life journey took some rather abrupt turns. And so the answer for the first time, to questions like, is this where I thought I would be at this point, is no. I'm not on track for any of the things I expected. And yet, it is good. And God is doing this new thing in me and my life. Julia and I bought a house. We just bought it, in fact, mid-December, and only moved our things in finally 2 days ago. This has definitely been a part of this season of new. But the house itself is not new. It was built in 1910, and in the 106 years it has been sitting there in Troy, we're just the 4th owners. We are the new, poured into the old vessel of this home. And it will mean something new for our relationship as a family, and it will be something new for our neighborhood. Remember, the wine ran out on the 3rd day. Here's another reason why John tells the story the way he tells it, why the timing is important. And on the 3rd day. That should sound familiar to those of us who know this story. And on the 3rd day, Jesus rose from the dead. And whenever and wherever there is need for new purpose, new direction, new vision, new life, Wherever there are old vessels, and that includes me and you, no matter how old we are, that includes our church, our community, our nation, our world. Jesus is there that we might have life and have it abundantly. The ancient Greeks had two words for time, chronos and kairos. While the former refers to chronological or sequential time, the latter signifies a time lapse, a moment of indeterminate time in which everything happens. That is when the miracle occurs. So I will continue to fill up the pages of my 2016 calendar that I bought with chronos plans. But I trust that there are kairos moments where compassion and courage is needed, and God will fill us with it. That there will be opportunities for us to do justice and show mercy and be peacemakers. And these times will come when we think it is not yet our hour, and perhaps when we think our hours for such things have long since passed. But God will continue to work at making all things new, and God's love will be evident in us and around us, the kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. Happy New Year. May God fill it and you with all that is needed for life and life abundant today and every day. Amen.